children of all ages. It is me, Duke CT, here once again. How are y'all doing? How are you doing this very interesting weather today? And I hope all is well. I hope everything is doing good. I hope all y'all feeling good because, man, I got a whole plate for you tonight. And this is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. We got some breaking news in the world of pro wrestling. I just got this, ladies and gentlemen. This happened 2 hours ago, and according to Pro Wrestling Sheet, Lucha Underground star files dispute against El Rey Network. It says right here by Brian Satan. I don't know. I am bad names. It says Pro Wrestling CEO has obtained documents showing a Lucha Underground star recently filed a dispute against El Rey Network over his contract. The lawyers of King Coronel, a.k.a. Alejandro del Fantasma, real name George Lucis Al Sierra Broly, filed the documents in Los Angeles against El Rey Network and Lucha Underground's production. Baba G Productions actual arbitration in accordance with the American Arbitration Association national rules for the resolutions of opponents' disputes. And it says here, it says supposedly here it is that the Coroner's lawyers goes on to explain how Lucha Underground's LLC has the authority to illegally restrict wrestlers from engaging in their possession in violation of California law, as Lucha Underground has it is based in California. And here it is. It says, Lucha Underground launched in 2014, a time where there was not a lot of options in the United States in the professional wrestling industry. There was a violation of California law. All of its contracts offered by the defendants contained restrictions that prohibited the professional wrestlers from engaging in their lawful profession. Since the creation of Lucha Underground, the professional wrestling has improved, and legitimate professional wrestling organizations started offering competitive contracts that did not exist when Lucha Underground was launching. Specifically, Ring of Honor. Wrestling is offering better contracts when they were being offered in 2014. Ring of Honor is a highly respected and legitimate wrestling company owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. Broadcasting. Contracts offered by Ring of Honor allow wrestlers to make a living wage. A new wrestling company, All Elite Wrestling, is owned by billionaire businessmen Shahid Khan and Tony Khan. They're offering top dollar contracts that allow wrestlers to make good living working on a full-time basis as a professional wrestler, and attracting top talent, including talent from the WWE. WWE is the king of wrestling industry. It has been for decades. They have shown heightened interest in wrestlers currently working in Lucha Underground, prior to the new competition posed by All Elite Wrestling. Some of the biggest stars looking to jump from WWE to All Elite Wrestling, WWE wrestlers are well paid. Finally, Impact Wrestling, often considered the number 2 company over the last decade, recently was purchased by a Canadian company. The charge and ownership has opened opportunities that did not exist in 2014. Impact Wrestling wrestlers are well paid. And it goes on. And here it is. By contrast, Lucha Underground broadcasts between 22 and 40 television episodes per year, with no live events like the other described wrestling promotions. If a wrestler appears on the show, it's usually just a couple. The payment per episode is usually less than $1,000. The current contract that wrestlers sign with Lucha Underground requires the wrestlers not perform services for other wrestling companies anywhere in the world without the client's permission, but does not require defendants to use plaintiffs in their wrestling-themed television show. While plaintiffs are obligated to restrict their trade under the contract, which is illegal, defendants are not required to use or pay plaintiffs. Defendants have the option to use plaintiffs, and if defendants use plaintiffs, the defendants will pay plaintiffs. If defendants choose not to use plaintiffs, the wrestlers, here, the plaintiffs are prohibited from working for years, are not paid, but still under the reclusive contract under it expires. Yeah, the wrestlers can go and work with other places, but they have to talk like to them and say, okay, you have to go work with these people. Like, okay, fine, and such. But then if they're not, but if the defendants choose not to use them, that's the key. The defendants chose not to use them. They will be prohibited from working for years, stuck in a contract. And it gets better. Most wrestlers under a Lucha Underground contract make less than 40 grand a year. That's right. They work less. This is just found out that the wrestlers on Lucha Underground, their contracts has way less than 40 grand a year. Other wrestling promotions make a living wage, usually starting around 50 grand a year and entering into the 6 or 7 figures. Coronel claims he's lost out thousands of dollars because of this, as well as talks falling through with a company because of his contract. So he wants El Rey and Baba G to pay up his punitive and actual damage as well. Evil East actually talked about this against a contract company as well. This is, and supposedly there are other people in here that are being a part of this, a lawsuit as well. Evil East, Joey Ryan, Cobra Moon, aka Thunder Rosa, and supposedly this is a truly big thing. This is wow. This is shocking. I mean, as a fan of professional, what's up, guest 3? How you doing? Hopefully you're enjoying the content. And such. I think this is Rowdy C. And such. Hopefully you are interested in this. You want to come in, remember to call about this stuff, about contracts and everything. But you probably want to talk about the other stuff, the NFL, and the halftime show, which we'll get into. But this is just breaking news. Holy crap. This is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. But if you do want to talk about this subject here, remember, anyone else wants to call in, remember, you can use the internet thing. You just click the internet, just want to connect with the internet right there. But if you want to, remember the number is 605-562-0444. Let's get the number is 605-562-0444. And the show ID to connect to me, Duke CT, is 92417. Once again, the show ID is 92417. All right. My thoughts on this stuff, holy crap. This was, I mean, I know the wrestling world is scummy and, entertainment can be scummy. Believe me. But this stuff right here is, I mean, at this point, they need to just get rid of anyone. If this is true, 100% true, they need to I would never watch another Lucha Underground episode ever again because the way they pay their employees and such. Making less than 40 grand a year? 4 grand a year? Are you kidding me? I know people who are, the heck, I think I barely make, I make more than that. How the hell can you support yourself for 4 grand a year? Oh my God. I mean, Lucha Underground is a televised show. Not the way it's shot, the way everything else is. It frustrates me. It really frustrates me because I do love that show. I love the content. Hell, I just did an entire week of reviews, straight reviews, Lucha Underground season 4, and I always rooted for it. But now with this stuff coming out to light, I can't really support this company. I can't really support how it chooses stars. And with other people talented stuff here. Yeah, but this is, how many people call this low-cal Impact, LOL, TNA. And I have always made my jokes on TNA, Impact Wrestling and such. And believe me, Impact Wrestling has some, not paying for stuff. But 4 grand a year? Exactly. In the lawsuit itself, it says Impact Wrestling wrestlers are well paid. They are now being well paid. I'm like, if you can't afford to pay people, if Impact Wrestling can do that, is actually paying people on time and actual living wage. Oh man, this is, 4 grand a year. And you're on a televised show which is making all this buzz. A lot of people are loving these stars and such. People like Pentagon Jr., or Pentagon Dark. Phoenix. Oh, hello. Let's see. I think someone's here. Rowdy?
Hey, Duke. Hey, Duke.
Hey, what's up, man?
There? Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you just fine.
Yeah. You just heard, I just played the news about the whole Lucha Underground thing. I know you're going to want to talk about the NFL stuff, but You want to have anything to say about this?
Yeah, just, again, well, first off, I want to send my condolences, well, not just, first off to all of the superstars of Lucha Underground and to the fans who watches them. Look, I know you've been a loyal, supportive viewer of Lucha Underground for a lot of years, and I'm sure this is very disappointing to hear to anyone who supported. But, this just goes back to, what I've been saying for a long time. I don't like to be come off as like an apologist of Vince McMahon or anyone like that, but I've always just keep saying, WWE and Vince McMahon catch a lot of flack for a lot of their business practices and how certain wrestlers have been treated and who they do business with, and all of those gripes are legit. People have the right to have issues with some of those things, but the issue I've always had is that all these other wrestling promotions just kind of get ignored and just as far as not any type of shady business practices they might be committing. People just don't try to find anything. It's like people directly go after WWE because they're the big boy on the block. They actively hunt for business practices and employee treatment that they can go ahead and chastise them for, but they're not doing the same thing for any of these other promotions. When, again, I hate saying something like this, but when you're talking about, you said it yourself, the entertainment industry as a whole, it's always had very beyond dubious practices. We could do a whole, you could do an entire television series on that alone almost, but especially when you're talking about an industry that from the beginning has been built on deceit and lies and run by con men, which I think just so many of these newer, younger wrestling fans keep forgetting, keep trying to pretend wasn't as bad as it was. They want to put all of the blame on Vince McMahon and just ignore how much shady practices the NWA was going on back even before Vince and Kennedy McMahon even got into the business. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear something like this was happening in a promotion like Lucha Underground, but does it surprise me? Not in the least.
Well, yeah, it's not really surprising. I should be not really surprised by this because, see, like I said, the scumminess of wrestling, it is to me one of the negatives about it, and I honestly believe it's that old style stuff. But these are people who just, I the people behind it, I thought maybe my naivete and such, I thought, okay, these are people in the entertainment, at least they will pay these guys these decent wages, people like that, like, all these wrestlers they want. But they didn't. They pretty much, they sat there, people like, King Coronel and such, they sat there, they could have gotten so much paycheck and stuff, go to other places of, because, he's, seriously, he probably wanted to go to other wrestling organizations. So he's working with Impact Wrestling last I heard and such. But also he works other places. And heck, rumor had it he might want to work with WWE because, he speaks English. He has this. He wants to be this crossover big star. And he's like, he sat there and said, and really probably said, let me just work this Lucha Underground. But yet they locked him with this contract. They locked him with the contract, and now here it is. And it's frustrating because, again, if you want to lock people down to contracts, you want to do that, I'm like, fine. Exclusive contracts, whatever. But at least pay them what they're owed. Pay them at least that actually a living wage. Pay them at least that, make them feel like they're warranted and such.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and that's the fact too. I mean, you can say what you want about a number of problems that probably WWE still has. And again, they're valid concerns. But if nothing else, and you point this out, WWE goes with exclusive contracts as well, as best of my knowledge. I remember a few years ago, Jesse Ventura went on ESPN of all places and called them out about that, with the fact that they have them as exclusive contracts, but still classify them as independent contractors, so WWE doesn't have to pay any business taxes on it or whatnot. You can have concern on that, but as you said with Lucha, one thing you can say about WWE, they still, especially for the wrestling industry, pay their superstars very well. and just the fact that, especially if you're proving yourself to be a decent draw in there, and that's why, even with all of the problems that have been exposed about some of the McMahon's business practices, there's still a reason most wrestlers want to get into WWE, because, like it or not, that's still one of the best places they can make a living in.
Oh yeah, and when you have AEW, or you have, Ring of Honor seems to be stepping up. You're seeing all these other places that are stepping up, paying these guys and other things, and doing all these contracts. Here, I'm like, you know what? I'm hopeful that I'm hopeful that there will be people, getting their money right and doing, making, like, the one things I did like back in the 80s and 90s and such is that freedom movement. People went and came and go, freshened themselves up. They didn't become static and stayed in one place. And they got paid really well. Such. I mean, heck, anytime you do a tour with Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair or anything else, stuff like that, you did get your money. You got paid and everything. And I'm hopeful with AEW, Ring of Honor, and Impact Wrestling now stepping up and such, you have more people with their contracts and everything like that. That's the hope. That's my hope, is that more people will look back and say, yeah,
And that's more than anything else is that I hope that especially if people are willing to step up and make these and have the courage to make these complaints, and with the creation of something like AEW, which I've said my things about. I'm kind of tentative on it, but I wish them the best. I kind of hope they do succeed. They're going to have to do some things very specifically, at least to just make sure they're a success, and want to be something and do something different in the wrestling world, especially as far as the treatment of talent goes. But again, this is why I think you got to put to rest these arguments that WWE has a monopoly on the industry, because these other industries do exist. Maybe none of them have risen to a competitive level as far as drawing fans and ratings go, like first the NWA and then WCW had against them. But these other organizations do exist. Like you said, it's in some promotions, like hopefully AEW and even Ring of Honor, have been trying to step up as far as what their compensation for their superstars will be. But again, that ultimately, hate to keep sounding like an apologist for it, but that all started because of Vince McMahon. When he took over in the World Wrestling Federation in the 1980s and was not willing to play nice with the basically cartel that the NWA was, because even organizations like when Vince's father ran the Federation, he may have been independent of the NWA, but he still tried to maintain a good relationship with them and never directly poached off any of their talent. Vincent K was more than willing to do that, going after not just the NWA's, but the AWA's talent as well. That started with what ended up especially driving wrestler pay up, which continued on into when it got absolved into WCW. Ted Turner brought it up. Eric Bischoff was going to play the same game of poaching for talent and start outdoing McMahon at that. That's what led to it. Maybe there was a slight stagnation of that after 2001, but one at the very least, like I said, wrestler pay didn't drop significantly in the WWE, at least after that. And now there are other organizations that are actually trying to compete. Not all of them have succeeded as well as they would like, but you just gotta hope that there's nothing preventing another wrestling organization from existing, which is basically would be the very essence of what a monopoly would be. And the fact that there isn't, the fact that there are other organizations out there, the possibility of another legit competitor can exist. But if anything has to happen for it to really exist, it can't go with types of business practices like Lucha Underground has done, with being able to shaft their superstars the way that obviously have been revealed to have done.
Oh, yeah. And it's the weirdest thing, too. The one thing I don't get is that you have like other wrestlers, Brian Cage, Pentagon Jr., Phoenix, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact and such. They actually are going to. They actually, they can go and do other shows and stuff. Seems to be doing just fine. Maybe it's just to negotiate. Those they actually talk to and renegotiate the contracts and such. But my hope is that they restructure these deals, restructure contracts, get rid of people who actually have put those contracts and put a new thing in, and make sure this stuff doesn't happen. Because again, I know you had your issues, Chris, with with Lucha Underground and such, and we can talk about that later and everything else. But the way it's shot, the way I honestly think, to me, if Lucha Underground didn't exist, I probably would not be watching his wrestling as such, because it was such different. It was such a just like wow. I mean, it's like something I didn't know I would want, but I'm like, this is what I wanted in a wrestling show, and how you book these fantasy characters, these pro wrestling, make it more of a comic book thing. This is something I want to see. But if they continue to do their stuff like this, I cannot support that. But my hope is that they renegotiate these contracts, they get rid of the people who made those contracts, and keep it moving. And that's the hope. That's my hope. Yeah. Oh, gosh. That was a fun conversation. All right. You want to stick around and talk about this NFL thing?
Might as well, yeah. Even though I probably know less about NFL than Lucha Underground. Actually, that's not true. I know enough about it. I can't probably care whether or not I care as much. That's another issue. But being a guy who grew up studying sports journalism, I know enough about the NFL to probably talk about that. And yes, just out of curiosity, what did you do? Were you actually watching that game on Sunday?
Oh, sadly, yes. The only thing that was actually entertaining was, I believe, Tony Romo and Jim Nantz basically taking the piss out the entire game, mostly and such. Heck, he was actually in the middle of the game. Romo was like saying, maybe the punters should be the ones getting the MVP. And I'm like, you know what? I think he has a point. And also, I'll talk about this later. Halftime Heat. I watched that, and I'm like, well, I have my issues, but it was actually more entertaining than the halftime show, which we're talking to right now. And
I was actually where I spent that Sunday during the game. I was instead watching "It's a Mad, 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 Mad World," and somebody tells me I made a better
tweets, by the way.
Yeah.
You did. Oh boy,
So,
it was. Oh gosh.
Well, let's talk about the whole story that was going on there, because why it was so disappointing to a lot of people, especially a certain sect, a certain fandom of a certain animated television program.
Well, first off, you have what was the first disappointing to some people? Maroon 5 was going to be the halftime performer, and I guarantee you people were already pissed off about that. But they started off strong. They had some good classic hits. They had Harder to Breathe, all that good stuff. And then, it's just started to go downhill as people, the Spongebob community they actually made a change, petition after one of the creators of SpongeBob passed away last year. And
Stephen Hillenburg. I did it again.
Don't worry. Hey, I can't pronounce names, so the lounge is for you. They were really hyped up for this thing, and I'm like, okay, I haven't watched SpongeBob in a really long time, and it's still going strong. Some people think it's good, some people bad, whatever, but it's been going through, and people are like, okay, they're gonna do something for him, and I saw Squidward do his little thing. I was like, now it's on True Talent. The SpongeBob was doing his little dance, and then you had Travis Scott join them via meteor, which by the way the dome was closed, which then I don't know how they got in, but yeah, and that was it. He played sicko mode, and that was it. And people were like saying, well, maybe I was like, yep, they're not playing Sweet Victory, which I saw the video before, and I'm like, yeah, that I don't think they can fit this in. Then afterwards, it just belayed and it just sat around and it just had Big Boy came in. He tried to do the best he can, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't save it. I mean, it was just like this show was just plain bad. I saw the tail end of it after watching Halftime Heat. I saw the tail end of it. I was like,
Are you there?
look, so hard. It's like, is this dude going through it's like, is this dude going through a midlife crisis or something? Because I saw
let's
that.
not talk about midlife crises. I think I'm going through one right now.
No, not as bad as this dude. Where barely like he's strumming the guitar. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. I'm like, and I saw one tweet on Twitter, and I think this really does pretty much says this. It says, after watching this performance, Maroon 5's performance halftime show, says, I finally understood white privilege.
Oh.
Oh goodness! And then afterwards, after all the dust is settled, the Twitter has just exploded. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, because I will for this. I was live tweeting my movie during the whole thing, and watching other people's Twitter on there, it was kind of fun. Twitter was probably more entertaining than the game itself.
Oh, sweet Christmas. I think I have some of it saved if I can find it. I actually know a dude who was in Ireland who's a big fan. In fact, if you, I think he was a big fan of SpongeBob and all this stuff. He to Transmission Rory. Really cool dude. Made nice of the Dukect Lounge. Awesome dude. He was like, he stayed up like to 1 or 2 o'clock. He wanted this thing. He's a big fan of SpongeBob, and he just sat there and said, I stayed up to 1 hour and a half of football that was terrible for this. Screw it, and turned everything off and such. And and it just got, a lot of people were just so pissed off, so angry, and they are like, I never saw people just that. I'm like, for SpongeBob, and a lot of people did, and well, let me just say this right now for the Super Bowl commercial, the halftime. It's on YouTube, by the way, the entire Super Bowl halftime show. Let me just look at the dislikes and such. It's on there, and let's look. And oh gosh, shirtless Adam Levine and his cover. Oh Lord. Oh sweet Christ. Oh. Over 759 dislikes over a 1K. And if this keeps going up, which I believe it will, it's not going to get to the point of, the rewind thing, but it's been a couple days.
Are we going to get into Rebecca Black territory?
Who knows? It's been 3 days, ladies and gentlemen. So it is still And then,
here's what I've got some good news out of this, and this is to your buddy Transmission Rory and anyone else out there who might be listening who was very, very disappointed in what the NFL did in their supposed tribute to Mr. Hillenburg and SpongeBob. There was another sports team that took a look at that whole debacle, and they saw opportunity. And I'm talking about a certain professional hockey team that's right here in my hometown of Dallas-Fort Worth. The Dallas Stars, they pretty much did exactly what so many SpongeBob fans were wanting to do. I think I sent you a link to it earlier in the day. So if you want to go post that, show that, it's something. But basically, I know, especially since we're audio only, you can't really see what it was about. But It's
I
basically
saw
what,
the video, by the way.
yeah, it's basically the SpongeBob music video from the Band Geeks episode with one they basically spliced in cuts of Dallas Stars crowds at the American Airlines Center within the music itself, and did some editing to the animation so that almost all the band uniforms were all colored the Dallas Stars shade of green, which, by the way, they have officially dubbed that shade is fairly officially titled Victory Green, as if so basically everything just works perfectly at this. It's been shared all over social media, especially the webs, like the Dallas Morning News published an article on it, CBS Sports did an article on it. Just Google search Dallas Stars SpongeBob. You'll basically be able to find a link to that video. The Dallas Stars tweeted it off of their Twitter channel. It basically said the halftime show everyone was hoping for, or something along to those lines. But yeah, if you're trying to find that tribute that you were looking for, the Dallas Stars pretty much gave it to you. And I guess you can't help but think that as of last Monday, how many of my followers who grew up loving SpongeBob now became fans of hockey and the Dallas Stars, just as a result of that.
Oh, yes, I believe that they did, and it was a brilliant way to do it. And, it's just, it's amazing how a sport that people, even I, once upon a time, thought the NHL was boring and not that interesting and such, has changed, and not, because the Capitals. No, I've been watching, gradually over the couple years since maybe around 2006 and 7 and such. But yeah, it's funny how this sport that has been usually the back end of the number 4 sport in the in the whole league of this United States and such, but has done this in a regular season game. Like, for one of their and such for their teams to do this. I'm like, if they can do this, and here's the sad part.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise. I will say this: it doesn't surprise me that the Dallas Stars would do something like this, because I can tell you this. I mean, I've never been a huge hockey fan myself, but I know this much, and I haven't seen another hockey game outside of the Metroplex, so I can't speak for any other NHL team out there. But the Dallas Stars overall, they're pretty much known for knowing how to put on an in-house performance. So everything's has been considered really top notch by that organization. So it does not surprise me they would take an opportunity like this.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, and the best thing I see about this is you see fans coming in, and when I look back, and here's the sad part. I was going to talk about this is that the tribute rehearsal. They actually took them in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They actually played the song in the empty arena. They seemed to have a plan to do it. They sang "Sweet Victory." They had the screens up. I'll link in the I will give you a link to the video and such in the description, of course, in the video and all this stuff. But they had it, and it seems like the NFL kind of put the kibosh on this. And I'm like, Of course it is. The reason why they call it the No Fun League. It's just, that's what it has. But, and it's sad that because they had an easy opportunity, a layup shot. They had it there. And, of course, to use an overused urinatory meme, they blew it.
But you know what? Probably, even if they would have listened to hear this podcast, they probably wouldn't listen to me. But I got the solution for how they could fix things for next year's halftime show. Simply put, Weird Al and the Muppets.
You know what? I'm surprised they didn't do that yet, because the Muppets and Weird Al are mainstream. It's nostalgic, and people all ages will love it. In fact, I think NFL players will love it. NFL, people non-NFL, anyone will love it. And I'm surprised they haven't done that. I mean, they would probably treat it like, say, Metallica or something like that, which even though they could do it, but, for a reason they probably won't. But, the NFL wouldn't have that because, it's, that that rock and roll and such. And then, this stuff here, the Muppets and Real Al would be actually fun and interesting. But, the NFL seems to be one have, it's a better chance you see that in the NHL game than actually, or heck, maybe in a baseball game and such. Actually, what happened?
Well, just keep this in mind, that the franchise that went ahead and did that sweet victory number, the Dallas Stars, we're hosting the Winter Classic next year in the NHL. January 1st, 2020, we held at the Cotton Bowl. They're in Dallas. Dallas Stars against Nashville Predator. So who knows what they've got in store for that? Because I'm pretty sure if they're willing to jump at an opportunity like that, they might have something special to go for when they get to host that game this next New Year's Day.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to take a small break. Thank you so much, Rowdy C, for getting in here, talking about all that good stuff. And,
always great to be here.
All right, man, and we'll see you later, all right?
Stay rowdy, my friends.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was fun, that was exciting, and that was very interesting. As always here at the Dukect Lounge. But anyway, we'll take a small little break, and we'll be right back when we take a look at... we're going to take a look at what I did watch during the halftime show, Halftime Heat, and my thoughts about that right at this here live on the Dukect Lounge. We'll be right back right after this. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is me, Dukect, here, live, as always, here on the Dukect Lounge. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being in the position that you are listening to the greatness that is the Dukect Lounge. If you want to call in, remember, the phone number is always 605-562-0444. Once again, the number is 605-562-0444. And the call ID to connect to me, Dukect, is 92417. Once again, the call is 92417. All right, these things I got to go and lickety-split because, hey, this show is about to be over. All right. Oh, my. The Super Bowl. Meanwhile, we were talking about the previous segment. Me and Rowdy C talked a little about the whole lawsuit debacle and the Super Bowl halftime fell. But it's more than that because, well, there was some things out there. Some people watch movies. Some people did things. Bitched on Twitter. But me, I did a little bit of both as a multitasker. But also, I watched Halftime Heat. Yes, WWE brought back Halftime Heat. And let me tell you something, the match was on fire. Even though I had some complaints, one, it was a six-man tag that had no real, it's just, a no real consequences match. Because we think Halftime Heat was important. That match between Rock and Mankind, that match was like, not only it was big because it was two stars, but also was the WF Championship in the empty arena match. It was fun. It was exciting. It was something, holy crap, and a championship change. Wow, that was impressive. I mean, if you want to do something that big and important on a show like that and getting people's, the look there, I honestly think, why not put a Cruiserweight Championship match there and a Continental title match? Hell, NXT title, WWE Championship, Universal Championship. Do something. Anything different. Come on, guys. You got this huge platform. The halftime show is a complete dumpster fire. You give us a six-man tag? Come on, man. Come on, WWE. You could do better. You could do better. And I'm hopeful they will do better next time, because hopefully it is going to be next time. But to be fair, the match was pretty entertaining. There were some issues, of course. I mean, of course, they have the big moves, the DDTs, fine. I already made my piece that DDT doesn't mean anything anymore. But when I saw the, gosh, the Canadian Destroyer get a 2 count, I'm like, oh, come on now. Come on. At least someone break up the pin. If someone broke up the pin, I wouldn't have been mad. I'm like, okay, hey, if Adam Cole hit that move against Ricochet, fine. And you have Dream and or Aleister Black come in, knock them out. I'm like, hey, you know what? They broke up the pinfall and drag that I'll be fine. I will be fine with that. But they didn't. And I know I sound like that old fuddy-duddy or anything else. I don't want to be that way. I don't. I like the high impact fighting matches. I like the video game stuff. Heck, I honestly Ricochet and Johnny Gargano's match at Takeover, the previous Phoenix Takeover, was done my match of the night, and that was pretty much a video game match. Pretty much, like the moves you see only in a video game, and I enjoy that. I mean, I'm not against that. I love seeing that. It's fun and exciting, and wrestling should be fun and exciting and have different variations and such, But there has to be some rule. There has to be a limit, If you hit a big move, I always say, unless it's broken up or the referee's distracted, then I'm like, okay, the referee's distracted. It takes a while to get the 2 count. 1, 2, boom. I know that. I'm okay with that. But it's just me. It might be just in my old age or whatever, but maybe I'm becoming too cynical and such. Who knows? Right? So well, hello. We got more people coming in. Hello, guests and such. Hopefully it was, we got more people showing up, which is awesome. Always like people showing up. Remember, always chat room is always on lock. But anyway, this stuff right here, ladies and gentlemen, this stuff here, and I'm going to say this to you, and I'm going to be honest. It annoys me because it should, when you have big moves and, matches like that, there's always a consequence. And when you have those big moves and you hit them, it devalues it. It devalues the rest of the match because you know that it's not going to, the high point has already been passed in the match. At what point you just feel like it just becomes numb and there's nothing shocking anymore. That to me is the worst. That's the worst fate. A match that ends up hot in the end doesn't really end up as hot, and some of the finish was let down because of that a bit, in my personal opinion. But I'll say this: the match was entertaining. All 6 men have good chemistry with each other. Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, who I just don't see the appeal to, and Ciampa, they were good as a group. Dream, of course, I love Dream dressing up as Eddie, and then he has halftime, basically doing his, every type of like theme that goes in. He has just the theme, and it's all. I'm like, he dressed up as a football player. Best scene of the entire match. You have him in that football 3-point stance, taking on. You see, it was Ciampa in the ring. He's like, just like Ciampa about to do that, and then just boots him in the head. Bam! That was hilarious. Aleister Black was, Aleister Black and Ricochet, they did their things. They did some awesome things as well. They did some NXT things, and they were doing some NXT awesome things. That's what they do. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, don't you remember NXT used to be developmental? But yeah, it doesn't seem that way. But the only person that is actually developmental is Velveteen Dream. And I'm like, man, he is so good with the character. He's so good. I honestly think he needs a little more seasoning. I will put him in the NXT. Have him win the NXT championship this year. Have him a good long reign, and then he gets a full on. He gets a taste of it when he goes to the Royal Rumble next year, and then you build him up on Raw and or SmackDown. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, overall the match was fun and exciting. I give it like if I had a good rating, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. Good stuff, and I still enjoyed the match, and I like the team won. Good ties won. Faces, the baby faces won. Everybody, that's awesome. And not being sarcastic, I really did enjoy the match. All right, and now let's get into EA, ladies and gentlemen. Last but not least, let's talk a little about EA. Oh, I know EA is. Oh gosh, it's so easy to dunk on EA because it's fun too. I mean, it's always fun to dunk on EA because it's just yeah. And well, ladies and gentlemen, according to Market Watch, the link will be in the description. EA stock declined. This is the worst decline in order the decade. Missed its highest. Yeah, it is low. Like EA stock fell, and the reason why, look at it. And if you see Market Watch, it just kept falling after September, October, November, and it got a little bit higher up, but man, it's still going down. And one of the big reasons why it was going down, it was because Battlefield 5 didn't really sell well. In fact, video game critics had they said the article said mixed reaction. Now, like the predecessor, which was critically and universally complained. I still love playing Battlefield 1. I still play it once in a while. But Battlefield 1 sold 1 million fewer copies than exactly expected at 7.3 million. Yeah. Even after that huge stuff, they're still not happy. But yeah, EA, and the reason why EA stuff is going down is because they say, because supposedly Fortnite and everything else, which they're chasing trends about battle royales, which are, funny enough, the battle royale, I think the people behind Titanfall just released one, a free-to-play battle royale, I believe. Let me just go take a look. Yeah, Titanfall. Let's see what the people behind Titanfall was making. Apex Legends. It's pretty much a supposedly I was originally going to talk about what happened to Titanfall, but it looks like Apex Legends is going, seems to be people love it, and because it's a battle royale type of thing, people seem to be really good. And not only that, Titanfall is looking like to be returning in coming out. Titanfall 3 is coming in this fall, and supposedly Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That's fun. By the way, I was thinking of Titanfall. I suppose there was supposed to be a TV show based on that. I remember there was supposed to be a TV show, but nothing happened because of that. I heard there was going to be a television show, but yet nothing happened. Which I honestly wondered, how the heck would you do? Will you look at something like Titanfall? You see what's going on here with those mechs and shooters and such. I wonder, how the heck would you do something like this? I mean, honestly, there could be a lot more bottle shows and such because it's nothing. It was mentioned like 3 years ago around this time, but no one's know about the Titanfall TV series. It's very interesting. But yeah, EA, what has gotten to this position? But yeah, they say they're blaming Fortnite. I honestly think it's because the years and years of just poisoned the well of like so many people. That's what it is. And EA will say Anthem will launch will please investors, not gamers. That's something. So basically, you're telling me Anthem. Well, that just right here supposedly says that it's going to please their investors. Jim Sterling said this. I know people might not hate him, but he makes some good points saying the investors are the true customers, or we're just basically the rabble and such. Right? No one cares. All right, if Anthem's going to please them, not the gamers, I'm like, fine. I'm not going to sit back and buy any money for it. I'm not going to sit back and actually go in and purchase Anthem. Hell, it hasn't interested me. It looks like a goddamn bland version of Iron Man. And if Anthem bombs, and then that BioWare is going to be on that, chopping block, of course. It's just swallowing things up because, hey, that's what EA does. And, of course, another thing I love about EA, that Disney, it's where Star Wars and stuff. Disney loves EA. They're like, man, we like EA. We don't know, and there's a article here. It is. Let me see if I can find it over my Discord. Awesome place, by the way. Right here. Thank you for Shingo, the Dragon Slayer. Gave me the story yesterday. Well, it was in the morning. It was like at midnight. So today, but earlier today. In the morning. Today, it's 12 a.m., so it's morning. It was morning. He said, Bob Iger is like, Disney isn't particularly good at self-publishing games. He says, right here, the quote says, while Disney may have limited success publishing games on their own, Iger said that the company has been great on the licensing side. We just decided that the best place for us in this space is licensing, not publishing. We have good relationship with some of those that we're licensing to, notably EA. Even though EA pretty much got that whole crap storm with Battlefront 2 and those loot boxes. And I'm gonna say this: if they didn't kill off LucasArts, maybe you wouldn't be in this position, Disney. Maybe you wouldn't be in the position of basically saying, "Oh, well, we're gonna do this." No, you're in this bad position now. But then that's just me. This position of like renting games out instead of producing them. But that's just my thing. Like you could have licensed, more. You could produce the games and publish them. I mean, you could have done that. You have one there, with LucasArts, but you didn't do it. I just don't know why. It just seems like what they do is just crumble, and these corporate mergers. They come in, they suck all the bone and marrow and things they want, and just leave everything else to dust. Well, here's hoping EA gets their act together. Here's hoping Lucha Underground stuff act together. I hope everyone get their act together, but then again, well, who knows? But I'm betting Lucha Underground maybe get their heads out their ass. I think they will probably get one first before, what's happening over there. What happened in EA, because EA that's just in their nature. EA is just, their nature is just to screw things up. I don't know. At least in the comments below. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dukect. Thanks so much for watching and listening and all that good stuff. You'll find this on youtube.com/Dukect, BitChute, freakingawesomenetwork.com, The Fan, and also Manic Expression. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me, Dukect. And hey, peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all later.